Welcome to the National Radio. We at the National Radio are happy to welcome ourselves onto the Grand Qurani and Stoneworks videos across YouTube and across social media. I'm your host, Alexander Voslio, aka WarPlanet23, and our rules of the National Radio are this. Every single week, from Sunday to Sunday, we will create one of these videos about the events going on during that time. If you would like any stories about Grand Qurani, please DM us at WarPlanet23. And if you wish to join Grand Qurani, then also DM the same thing. Our first story is this. The small nation of Kashpeshkazar has officially joined the Republic of Qurani, and I must say I apologize on if I decided to butcher that name. Spathi Ashwood has declared it in communique, and with overwhelming support. He also declared the emergency assembly, which we'll be getting to very shortly. Now, speaking of the emergency assembly, the Spathi organized this with the Speaker of the Assembly, which went on to overwhelmingly vote in the Kashpeshkazar into our glorious federation. But the Supreme Court, mainly Justice Tazos, had opposed this, believing that it would cause issues, especially within the Constitution, about Spathi powers, which we'll be getting to momentarily. And now we get between the fight between the Spathi and the court. In a case, we believe that Tazos and the Supreme Court had ruled that no, the Spathi cannot create an emergency assembly of that manner. However, in response, a lot of issues with the court began to come out, especially of Justice Tazos, and it would later on lead to the... how do I say this? It would lead to an impeachment attempt. Now, this impeachment that accused of the then sitting justice of political favoritism and other horrible accusations towards him. However, it was announced a few days ago that Tazos would resign from the Supreme Court, a shocking move because nobody had resigned from the Supreme Court. As much as I know, there have been cases of bannings, like for example former Justice Member Felix, who was banned from the server, but we do not believe that there was any one man who actually decided to resign from the court and still remains in Qurani today. And in the immediate aftermath of the resignation of Supreme Court Justice but for Justice Tazos, Sky Luxembourg, I believe, or whatever the last name, it really doesn't matter, we all call her Sky, has become the leader of the Supreme Court. She is also the leader of the Speaker of the Assembly, and she's an important member of Qurani. We hope she does very well. Finally, we are now at the last part of the National Radio, which is the results of the 70th Public Assembly. There were many laws and many amendments that were proposed, and we expect that the 71st will be a very popular one. After all, of how much the results came from the 70th Public Amendment. The 70th Public Assembly. My apologies. So, let's go through the list. First things first, we have the new Spathi Amendment. The Assembly has overwhelmingly voted yes in favor of adding this to the Constitution. The next one is the Spathi Requirement Change Amendment, I do apologize for that, which the Assembly has voted yes and it has passed. Finally, actually not finally, the next one is the Dual Citizen Act, which, not the Dual Citizen Act, but the Dual Citizen Declaration Act, gosh, I apologize, which the Assembly has agreed with, and also passed into our law. Next, we have the Exile Amendment. The Assembly voted yes into this amendment, and it is supremely passed into the Constitution. And finally, we also have the Grand Quranic Denomination Act. It was an act that was widely criticized and ridiculed, especially with other life examples that could have easily made the situation not good, and it failed both the assembly and the general population. And that is all, my good folks across our beautiful nation. If you like this content, we will come out with another one next Monday. However, if you don't like it, then just scream at me in public square. I don't know. We will always be able to tell you what is going on in our nation. And another thing is that if you wish to be advertised here, you will always be able to DM WarPlanet23. If you wish a story, always ask WarPlanet23. If you wish to join our nation, as this will be public on YouTube, DM WarPlanet23. I will see you all later in the next assembly, and also the next national radio.